Most people preparing for a crisis are stocking the wrong things. Water, canned food, flashlights, everyone knows those. But there are 9 specific things that disappear from cities within hours of a conflict breaking out. Things that almost nobody thinks to stock in advance. And without them, the supplies you already have become significantly less useful. Some of these will surprise you. All of them are based on documented patterns from real urban conflict zones. Let us get into it. Prescription medication. Not over-the-counter medicine, prescription medication. Pharmacies in conflict zones are among the first civilian infrastructure points to be overwhelmed, looted, or simply closed. Supply chains for controlled medications, blood pressure drugs, insulin, psychiatric medication, thyroid hormone, collapse within 48 to 72 hours because they depend on cold chain logistics, regulated distribution networks, and functioning payment systems. All 3 of those fail simultaneously in urban conflict. The critical detail most people miss: a 30-day emergency supply of prescription medication requires a specific conversation with your doctor before any crisis hits. In most countries, insurers will not authorize early refills without a documented medical reason. Doctors who practice in conflict-affected regions recommend requesting a formal emergency supply letter from your physician now, citing travel or disaster preparedness. This single document unlocks early refill authorization in most pharmacy systems. Without it, you cannot legally stockpile what may be the most important supply in your home. Fuel for generators. Not vehicle fuel, generator fuel. This distinction matters because the behavior around them is completely different. Vehicle fuel disappears within hours as people evacuate. Generator fuel, specifically stabilized gasoline or propane, disappears days later after people realize the grid is not coming back quickly and the food in the refrigerator is about to expire. The documented pattern from extended conflict zones, generator fuel, becomes a de facto currency within the first 2 weeks. Hospitals, small businesses, and families with medical equipment will trade significant value for it. The practical implication: storing fuel stabilizer alongside your fuel supply extends its usable life from roughly 30 days to 12 to 24 months. Without stabilizer, stored gasoline degrades and becomes unusable within weeks. Most people stock the fuel and forget the stabilizer, which means their generator supply has a hidden expiration date they are not accounting for. Cash in small denominations. Not large bills, specifically small denominations. Coins and notes under $10 or equivalent. Here's why this distinction matters. In the immediate aftermath of grid failure, digital payment systems go offline. Most merchants who remain open cannot make change for large bills because their own cash reserves are limited and they are hoarding small currency for transactions. A $50 bill in a cash-only, no-change environment is functionally worthless. Documentation from the 2003 Baghdad conflict, the 2006 Lebanon war, and multiple other urban crisis events shows the same pattern. Small denomination cash continued to function as a medium of exchange weeks after electronic systems failed. Gold and silver, despite popular prepper belief, were rarely used in early-stage transactions because most merchants had no way to verify purity or weight. Small bills won because they were universally legible, portable, and divisible. The recommended minimum is 2 weeks of daily expenses in small bills, kept in a waterproof container in your designated safe location. Communication devices with offline capability. Cellular networks are designed to handle normal traffic loads. During the first hours of a major urban crisis, call volume spikes by 400 to 600% as every person in the city attempts to contact family simultaneously. Networks saturate and become non-functional within minutes, not because infrastructure is damaged, but because of demand overflow. This happened in New York on September 11th, in Paris during the 2015 attacks, and in virtually every documented urban crisis since mobile networks became widespread. What continues to function: SMS text messages, which use a fraction of the bandwidth of voice calls and are queued for delivery when network capacity frees up. Two-way radios operating on non-cellular frequencies, satellite communicators like personal locator beacons, and critically, offline maps downloaded to your phone before network failure. Google Maps and Apple Maps require data connection to load new map tiles. A phone with no signal and no pre-downloaded offline maps is a dead device for navigation. Download offline maps for your city and a 50-mile radius tonight while you have connectivity. Manual tools. Specifically, tools that perform functions normally handled by powered appliances. Manual can openers disappear from stores within hours because almost nobody owns one anymore. Yet everyone suddenly needs one when the power grid fails. The same applies to manual water filters, hand-cranked grain mills, non-electric cooking equipment, and mechanical timepieces. The deeper issue is dependency mapping. Most people have never identified which of their daily functions require electricity. Refrigeration, cooking, communication, lighting, water pressure. In multi-story buildings, elevator access, electric door locks, and garage door openers all fail simultaneously in a grid outage. Each of those functions has a manual alternative, but only if you own the manual tool before the power goes out. A manual can opener costs $2. In a grid-down scenario, it has been documented trading for 20 times its shelf price. The same value inversion applies to every manual alternative on this list. Sanitation supplies. This category is almost never discussed in survival content, and it is one of the most critical. Municipal water systems depend on electrically powered pumping stations to maintain pressure. When grid power fails, water pressure in most urban areas drops to zero within 4 to 8 hours. Toilets stop flushing, taps run dry, and within 72 hours, the sanitation situation in densely populated urban areas becomes a serious public health threat. The documented solution is used in conflict zones and disaster areas. Heavy-duty waste bags designed to fit over a toilet bowl, combined with a small amount of chemical treatment to neutralize waste. These are sold as camping sanitation products and are largely unknown outside of outdoor recreation circles. A 2-week supply for a family of 4 takes up less space than a shoebox and costs under $30. The alternative? Improvised outdoor sanitation in a dense urban environment without proper containment creates disease risk that historically kills more civilians in extended conflicts than direct violence does. Knowledge stored offline. The most underestimated disappearance of all is access to information. Every skill, every reference, every how-to guide that currently lives on YouTube, Google, and online forums becomes completely inaccessible the moment your internet connection fails. Medical references, repair guides, navigation information, plant identification, radio frequencies, medication dosing, all of it is gone. The specific preparation, a curated offline library. This means printed physical copies or downloaded offline files of the specific reference materials your household would need during an extended grid-down scenario. A first aid and trauma care manual, a local area map with hand-marked emergency locations, medication interaction references for any prescriptions in your household, basic mechanical repair guides for your specific vehicle. A list of local emergency radio frequencies. This information currently takes under 2 hours to compile and costs almost nothing to print. In a connectivity outage, it is irreplaceable and becomes one of the most valuable assets any prepared household possesses. Comfort items for psychological function. This sounds counterintuitive, but is supported by extensive documentation from humanitarian organizations operating in conflict zones. Psychological function under sustained stress degrades significantly when people have no access to items that create a sense of normalcy. Specific foods they find comforting, entertainment for children, familiar sensory experiences. The degradation is not emotional weakness. It is a measurable cognitive decline that affects decision-making, cooperation, and the ability to follow through on survival tasks. UNHCR and Red Cross field documentation consistently shows that families with access to small comfort items, a familiar brand of coffee, books, games for children, a specific toiletry, maintain higher functional cohesion under extended stress than families without them. If this breakdown of essential supplies changed how you view your emergency preparedness, please subscribe and like the channel. We are uncovering the survival strategies that are often overlooked until it is too late. Secure your future and stay prepared. Our next deep dive into urban resilience will be released soon.